Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. Once again, meeting here. Took the last week off due to some safety precautions. One of the members, we won't say who, came into contact with somebody that was ill. Just being safe. Everything is good. We're all healthy. So we're back here once again. Joining me this time, Matt Morrison and Michael Wolfgang, as always. Check us out on social media as Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure to like and share this video, as well as subscribe. So sit back, relax. We're going to try and bust through this pretty quickly. Matt and I got a game to call here.
Yeah.
We got to leave for it in about 2.5 hours. So the podcast shouldn't go for 2.5 hours, but we have been known to. We'll try and keep this one short, sweet, and to the point. So without any further ado, March Madness has been madness. No brackets are left in the world. Perfect.
We haven't talked about March Madness since we filled out our brackets. So.
Yeah,
right, we haven't talked about it. We're going to start going through it. Number one, I think biggest thing to talk about, Oral Roberts. Second ever Sweet 16, number 15 seed. Last time was 8 years ago with Florida GC. And the road to get there was phenomenal. Beat Ohio State in overtime, broke my heart to watch. I know my emotions through that game were through the roof. I was sitting there like, oh, come on. Then the end of the game happens. And it's like, they go to overtime. It's like, oh, they had the shot to win. Then you get into overtime. They've missed the first three. I'm down on my knees. They grab the rebound. I hop up into like a catcher stance. I'm like, and then they miss the second three to lose it, and I just collapse back onto the floor, making a snow angel on the floor, basically. And I was like, no!
The thing with Oral Roberts in that game, I was surprised throughout regulation how they kept the game. Like, they sped Ohio State up.
Yeah.
They made Ohio State play a style they didn't want to play. And by overtime, I thought Ohio State would have woke up and took it in overtime.
But the biggest problem was that the fouls kept adding up really quickly for Ohio State, and it put them in a lot of foul trouble, and their shooting was awful. I think what killed them the most was they were terrible from the free throw line.
Yeah.
And we just saw it with Alabama last night against UCLA.
What a game, we'll get into that after this one.
But they shot like 50% from the free throw line. You can't do that in the tournament and expect to win. You have so many chances at the free throw line in these games because it's so physical. There's so much intensity going on that Ohio State killed themselves from the free throw line. If they make half of those free throws that they missed, they win the game, and it's not going to overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, and props to Oral Roberts. Don't take anything away from them. The leading scorer with Max Amos and best free throw percentage in the country. Yeah. Their lowest percentage free throw shooter was 73. That's the best on some teams.
That's got to be one of the best.
They were only 2 points shy of beating Arkansas.
Right.
I was mad.
And Max Amos, I hope that guy goes somewhere in the draft. He played every minute of the tournament.
I'm going to tell you what, I didn't even know who he was until this tournament started.
Neither did I.
I texted you right before the Ohio State game started. I was like, I forget who was calling the game. It might have been Grant Hill. But he said on the broadcast, he was like, Max Amos is like the leading scorer in the entire country. Not like the entire country.
Right.
And he proved it in those two games they won, and I was surprised by his performance. And he impressed me because I didn't know who he was.
I didn't.
So the tournament
I was
started.
in awe watching him, no offense, against Ohio State.
I was in awe watching. I couldn't believe this 15 seed, who definitely should not have been ranked as a 15 seed, just came in there and was shooting the lights out. I mean, that's one of the best shooting performances I've ever seen.
And they didn't back
besides
down.
Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. You talk about their story playing Ohio State, them beating Florida, and like you said, came close to beating Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right? And you look at the story they had, and
they were that close.
They weren't intimidated.
That was their closest game
that
that came to loss. They won by 3 against Florida, 3 against Ohio State, then lost by 2.
Every game was like right there for them. I mean, you look at the story they had; it was remarkable, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was one of the Cinderella stories. Like, man, how deep can this 15 seed go? No 15 seed had ever made it past the Sweet 16. They ended up losing to Arkansas. They would have made it down to the Elite 8. And that's where I'm going with this next part of this. There were 6 double-digit seeds in Sweet 16. It was incredible. The record was 5, set back in 1999 when there was 3 10 seeds, 1 12 seed, and 1 13 seed. Only one of those made it to the Elite 8. And now we have 2 double-digit teams that have made it this year into the Elite 8. Number 12, Oregon State. Number 11, UCLA. The 12th seed is actually the lowest seed to ever make the Elite 8 tournament. That was Missouri back in 2012 or 2002. Now it's Oregon State and Mizzou. So an 8 seed is the lowest to ever win March Madness. So keep that on your mindset. That was Villanova in 85. UConn did do it as a 7 seed back in just 2014. But, I mean, we had a ton of teams in there that were upsets. I mean, by the end of the first round, there were no perfect brackets left that had been filled out on any of the websites. And it was like, man, who was actually going to be the Cinderella?
There wasn't even a perfect bracket after the first, two days. Not even just the first round. I mean, after the first time, because it was 2 days. I think after the first day, when
after the
half
first
the first
day,
round
they
was
said
played,
there was 15 left.
There was hardly any.
Right.
I mean,
it was 0.009 or something.
Oh, jeez.
% of brackets
insane.
were left. It's just like
that's madness.
Like 10. Right.
That is madness.
I mean, in terms
absolute
of
bracket busters.
In terms of not having the blue bloods and the big names that you normally see in there,
there's none of them.
I liked it.
Right.
I actually personally liked it. I liked seeing an Oregon State. They're now in the Elite Eight. They haven't been in there since the mid '80s.
I mean, even the 2 California teams in USC and UCLA. I mean, neither one of them was a favorite to come in. They weren't hot. UCLA was a play-in team. Now
Syracuse
they're sitting in the Elite Eight. Right. So we saw a lot of these teams that technically, yes, they were a blue blood at one point, but they haven't really been there in the past decade or 2 decades, especially with the California teams. Michigan kind of has been an on and off. I don't think they're a blue blood, but they've been kind of on and off. They are really great and they're really
I'll tell you
bad.
what. No, go ahead.
I don't know if you're going to say the same thing, but hey, we were talking about, I don't know how good they're going to do without Livers.
That's where I was going to go.
But they've been doing pretty good.
I mean, their depth has shown through in this tournament, and that's why they've been so dominant. They've shown that, hey, we are deeper than any other team.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here.
Use that.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like, they don't need Livers now. They still need them, but
they're going to need them for this Elite Eight Final Four run.
When we were filling out our brackets, I said they are still a good team without Livers, but he makes them great. And I was surprised because I didn't pick them to get out of the second round. I thought they would have struggled, but I think they might have been tired of hearing all that noise about, hey, we might struggle without Livers, and they seem to be playing like they don't care about that.
Well, this is interesting. Just got this from NCAA's March Madness. None of the Elite Eight coaches have ever won a national championship, so somebody gets there first here.
Oh, wow.
And if you're not following March Madness on Twitter, good for you. They just send out a lot of old stuff, but every now and then they do give you the good updates.
Every now and then.
Before we leave Ohio State here, I want to tell you something here. I saw on Twitter Ohio State's Barstool congratulated Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
When they said you guys should have been higher than a 15 seed.
Oral
Roberts, their Barstool responded back, said you guys shouldn't have been a 2 seed.
Oh.
So I just wanted to see I thought it was funny, but I want to hear your comments on that.
But
Ohio State
talked about that. Oral Roberts shouldn't have been a 15 seed. There's no way.
The only reason they're 15 seed is because they're from a small conference.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah. If
that is a team in, say, the WAC, like Gonzaga, or whatever. Are they the WAC?
West Coast Conference.
So WCC. If they're in a conference like Gonzaga, or they had the name recognition of Gonzaga, they would have been an 8 seed.
They would have.
That is a top.
Pack, they would have been right there.
Right. They would have been right there against Loyola.
Yeah.
A team like that. They should have been right up there with them. They weren't because of where they're from, and they don't have any name recognition.
No.
In Ohio State, frankly, they didn't play like a 2 seed. I agree. They didn't play like... I think they earned that spot throughout the season. The Big Ten fell apart in the tournament.
Yeah.
There's one team left.
They're 8-8 in games.
Right. They played pretty bad for the most part. All the top teams lost. I mean, Purdue got shut down by North Texas. Illinois lost to Loyola. Rutgers made it past the first round, but then got obliterated by
Wisconsin.
Houston. Wisconsin lost to Baylor.
Yeah.
But Wisconsin got the good win over UNC. Iowa got shocked. They got knocked out quick by Oregon, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Luka Garza still scored 36 points.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal game in that one. But Big Ten, I think, kind of screwed the pooch. Pac-12 showed that they were underrated as all get out, and they were just down way too far, I think. I think this is going to be a big moving forward, moving into the next season. Big Ten kind of showed that they're not the dominant conference anymore.
They show they are during the regular season.
Right.
Now,
the regular season,
comes,
big
they
dogs.
kind of fade off.
They fade off. I think that'll be impacting kind of in rankings down the line where they kind of sit. I think the Pac-12 is going to get more recognition. I feel like the Pac-12 kind of hurts itself with football, and that's why they lose some of the national recognition.
Yes.
It's because their football teams suck at the national level.
And I feel like...
And I think that hurts them because so much of the media covers football.
Yeah.
And so now once we go into other sports, it's kind of like, all right, football's A, basketball's B.
And the team
and for the Pac-12, Basketball is A.
Yeah.
And football is B or C behind baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much more out in the West that is above football, especially in some of those teams up in the Northwest, like Oregon and Washington.
And I feel like
those
with the
teams are
Pac-12,
great elsewhere.
Yeah, I feel like with the Pac-12, like USC, for example, like I knew they had a good team. They had the Mlb brothers. I knew who they had. I knew some of these other Pac-12 teams, but they were good and who they had. But like for me personally, I watch Pac-12 games. They come on at 10 o'clock. I watch like the first half of the first half or the first half in general. I don't watch the whole game. So that's the fact that I'm playing late. We just thought they were just the same level as football and basketball.
Right.
Now they have 3 teams in the Elite Eight.
Exactly.
So
I mean,
they flew under the radar.
I think Pac-12 is going to get a lot more respect going into next season with how they performed in this tournament. Well. I mean, no other conference has more than 1 team in the Elite Eight, and you just said that they have 3. So let's move on here to the Elite Eight, just so we're not hanging on one thing too long. Oh yeah, forgot to mention Loyola Chicago defeated Georgia Tech and then Illinois, but then they did lose to Oregon State 65-58, but a great performance in that one.
What a great performance. So I watched the Georgia Tech game, and I was going off during the whole game, and then the second game they played
Illinois, they just owned Illinois
against Illinois. I was at work during this game, okay, and I snuck in the back room to watch the end of the game. And I came out and they're like, "Where the heck were you?" I'm like, "Oh, nowhere. I was here the whole time." Like, it was none of my managers were there or anything, so I was like, safe.
You're okay.
But then this last game, I was actually right here in Alex's apartment watching it all by myself, cussing like you wouldn't believe.
Stuff you can't say
here. I had to take care of some things school-related in the other room. So I was like, in between games the other day, Matt and I called one at 12:30 and the next one was at 5:30. And so there was just like this little tiny window in between where Matt could watch the game while I was doing homework. So we were just here waiting. And we're like, "Matt, we gotta go. We're gonna be late to this game."
I'm
like,
"No!
Oh, there's 2 minutes left in the game." And it was like, "Oh, man." And Matt's just here, boom, boom, boom.
No! I want to touch a little bit. They had Loyola forced 4 defensive, not turnovers, but played great 4 times in a row on defense where, Oregon State didn't score at all. And they didn't score on offense. They could have been in the lead.
Yeah.
It was in like the last 5 minutes of the game, and they just didn't score. Even one of the commentators were saying, this defense is phenomenal, but like they're putting everything on it. Like this, they were exhausted.
Mm-hmm. I was just kind of, I don't know, not by Oregon State beating them, because Oregon State's a good team. Obviously, they're in the Elite Eight.
Right. It was, granted, being a 12 seed was
and it's,
you weren't, when you go through March Madness, you're filling out the bracket, you look at those seeds, and sometimes you feel like you look at them too much.
And I feel like there was a lot of like bigger schools, maybe not like big-time performance schools, but there was a lot of bigger school names that were in the lower seeds, like an Oregon State and like UCLA. They're still in it. They're 11th seed. They were a playing team.
Right.
So, yeah, I wasn't surprised that Oregon State won, obviously, because they're a good team.
I'm gonna be going
by the way Loyola played against Illinois, it was hard to picture anybody really beating them.
Yeah, Illinois looked like they were the best team.
They just took them away.
Tournament, and then it wasn't.
But, yeah, give credit to Loyola. Another good run for them. They're not going anywhere.
Nope, I think they're going to be eventually a team kind of like Gonzaga, who comes out of that smaller conference, but they're going to get the national recognition.
Yeah. They come out of the Missouri Valley.
Right.
So
Missouri Valley, who is great in football, not so much in basketball.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Elite Eight here. We'll go through the matchups quickly. Gonzaga versus USC. Zags have yet to even have a close game, but neither is USC. This is basically 2 heavyweights going in, slugging this one out. I'm excited for this game.
Me too.
What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I wouldn't be shocked
I watched that
USC won.
I watched that USC game last night. I'm like, oh my god.
Right.
Like, Oregon didn't even have a chance. Like, USC was this.
I mean, USC got the Mlb brothers. They got some good guard play. They get out of the guards.
Zaga had a kind of like. All right, they had a softer road. They were during this first part of the tournament. They got to turn it up a little bit.
They did get a lot of, I'll say, easier matchups.
Yeah,
obviously
they've been blowing everybody out. So
right, I mean, and by 20 points too.
Yeah.
The thing about and
they're not going to. I don't think they're going to be able to do that against USC.
By 20.
Right.
The thing about Gonzaga, I'm not guaranteeing they're going to lose this game. I mean, it's going to be a competitive game and go either way. But
guaranteed.
Gonzaga, watched them yesterday. I know they were playing Creighton, and Creighton wasn't on their level, but I don't know who's on Gonzaga's level.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just playing at an elite level. I mean, they are a team I'm confident saying that can go undefeated like the last Indiana team was in the 70s. But they just play so well. They just don't take any bad shots. They don't turn the ball over. They pass the ball constantly. They always find the open guy.
Mark Few, a very respectable coach, has been at Gonzaga since 1999, has only one Final Four appearance.
They're still looking for that championship that they could possibly get this year.
They lost in the championship 2017. So, I mean, but they've been in the tournament every year he's been a coach. So, hats off to him though.
You know, I've got my big school bias. I think USC takes it.
Yeah.
They could.
I think USC's got the pieces, and they're kind of. I mean, they've really heat up at the right moment. I mean, so is Gonzaga, but I almost feel like Gonzaga. Granted, they played Creighton, who was a 5 seed, but I don't feel like they've had that game where they've gotten to take it to that extra level or had to go deep into a game. Leave their starters out there for the entire second half and really get challenged at the free throw line. They haven't had that game yet in the tournament that I feel like every team needs.
Yeah, and the only
and USC really hasn't either, but they did have to face Oregon. They've had to face some of those bigger schools where they were tested and they were able to pull away.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Gonzaga's had that game yet. That's why I think USC right now has the tournament experience in the moment. No, you need that in the moment game that you're not going to get anywhere else but the tournament. And I feel like USC had the bigger game with Oregon than Gonzaga had with Creighton.
The only game I've seen Gonzaga get tested this year was the WCC Conference Championship game against BYU.
Right.
That game went down to the wire.
Yeah.
But obviously Gonzaga found a way to pull it out. But
and BYU lost to UCLA.
Yeah.
So, man, I watched the UCLA game yesterday.
I turned on the Matt Pace is like, anybody watching this? I'm like, no.
I'm like,
so
dude,
I popped it on.
I'm like, turn it on.
I was actually working on an assignment, and I didn't see what happened in the end of regulation.
Bama went to the free throw line, could have iced the game, okay? They missed both free throws. I'm like, what the heck? And then UCLA comes out and takes the
free throws,
lead.
as you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Free throws kill teams.
What did I say last night? They were 11 for 25 or something like that.
Something like that. It was
something like that.
They were
bad.
under 50%, I know for sure.
Then UCLA came down, took the lead. I'm like, oh my god, and then what was his name?
11 for 25.
Reese hit that final three.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Like,
that was near the logo.
My dad said like what the heck? Then the overtime, UCLA just clearly ran away. Oh yeah.
Right. I'll tell you what, giving credit to UCLA because you guys remember when we were filling out our brackets, I thought
we all picked Michigan State.
I picked Michigan State to not go this far as UCLA because I didn't
all picked Sweet 16.
I picked
Michigan State.
Like
so I picked them at least win one game.
Yeah.
I know that, but I was talking about Michigan State and look what UCLA's done.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they pretty much, if we had flipped it to UCLA, they would have basically done the same thing, and our brackets would have looked a lot better. I didn't even bother filling them out to see how good we did, because I think they're pretty much all busted.
Horrific.
I think we all had Houston going this far.
Yeah. I think so.
And Gonzaga, maybe. I know you had Gonzaga going this far.
I did.
So far.
I had Michigan going this far.
I think I did. So...
I know I had Arkansas.
Since we're talking UCLA right now, let's go their matchup. They got Michigan, two teams we were just mentioning.
This is
Team up north, obviously, we just mentioned that their depth has been phenomenal in this tournament, and it's really helped them in games coming down the stretch when they needed to give those starters 3-4 minutes. They've been able to keep them in the game when they need to, and even fill in when Livers hasn't been there. They've had guys that have been able to come in and step up and play along with them at the level they need to. But UCLA is just they're playing team. They're on fire. They've got the storyline. They're Cinderella dancing. How far can she go? What do you guys think with
Michigan
this one?
currently, according to ESPN, has an 80% chance to win this game.
But UCLA's probably been not a favorite in any game they've placed, coming in as an 11 seed. I mean, they weren't favorites against Michigan State. I'm not sure about the BYU game.
I wasn't sure about that one.
UCLA, they've been riding that. They've been riding that momentum train this whole time. Like they were in the first 4. They almost didn't get picked to be in, and they're clearly showing, hey, we did deserve to be picked in, and
you talk about that might work to their advantage because they're not playing with heavy expectations. They're just going out and playing.
They're just going out and playing. They have nothing to lose.
They're not supposed to be there.
They're not supposed to be there. That makes them a very dangerous team.
So, Michigan, UCLA, who do you have winning this one?
Man.
I think Michigan, but I think it's gonna be close.
I think
Michigan's
going on this bandwagon. I'm going UCLA.
Michigan's depth's gonna be the difference maker.
It's gonna be close.
I think Michigan's depth wins it for them. I mean, they've been up there all season long. It was only in the tournament in the last game of the regular season where they kind of not sucked, but had a day off.
Yeah.
I mean, it really only showed through in the Big Ten tournament where they were just kind of slow. But granted, they didn't need to win the Big Ten.
No, they didn't.
No,
So they didn't do it. And now they're here. They need to win, and they have been doing it perfectly.
I mean, with UCLA,
I've got Michigan beating UCLA.
With UCLA, we talk about the momentum ride. Like, you can make an argument Michigan's on one too because they heard all the noise about not having livers. Nobody. I mean, yeah, they're still a 1 seed. But
I think a lot of people have been paying attention to this part of the bracket.
Yeah,
everything's been up on the top right corner where everything just blown up, on fire, melting. Other than Ohio State, Purdue, and UNC going down.
In terms of like analysts, I didn't know other besides Jalen Rose. I didn't hear of like one person that like expected Michigan to get this far. A lot of people had them losing like the round of 32 or the Sweet 16 because of
I had Michigan as I think one of my Final Four teams. If not, I know they were Elite Eight. I think I picked Final Four, and I think I don't remember if I picked Ohio State versus Clemson or Ohio State versus Bama. I think was my championship, but I had Alabama versus Michigan in what would be this Elite Eight game.
I think I can remember UCLA barely got past Michigan State too in that first four.
That game was close. Michigan State was blowing them out in the beginning.
Yeah.
No, I think they ended up winning by double digits.
Well, like early on, Michigan State got out to a big lead at the beginning.
Yeah, I think UCLA ended up winning it by 10.
Okay.
So you picked UCLA, and the other two picked Mitch. Baylor versus Arkansas. Arkansas nearly escaped Oral Roberts and Texas Tech. Baylor has won every game by double digits. I think I've got Baylor handily in this one. I was wrong about Baylor in the beginning. I didn't think they were much.
Was too.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one.
Well, I had this matchup happening in my bracket, but
the only one right.
I had Arkansas ending here, so I'm going to obviously go with Baylor because I picked
If Oral Roberts got past him, dude, I'd be riding the Oral Roberts train right now.
This guy. He just loves Cinderella.
I love Hey.
Yeah, but they always end at some point.
Just watched it the other week. I can't say anything.
Did you read?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it.
I watched Frozen the other week, so we're good. All right. Next game.
Were you watching Moana in my living room?
Yeah, that's like the third time I've watched it. I love that movie, okay?
All right, next one. Oregon State versus Houston. Oregon State beat the 4th seed, the 5th seed, and the 8th seed to get here. Houston dominated everyone but the 10th seed Rutgers.
Put this out here. This is the first time Houston has been in the Elite Eight since 1984. That was old Phi Slamma Jamma with Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, this Oregon State team's continue to shock people. I mean, we didn't give them anything against Cade Cunningham at Oklahoma State, and they went out there and knocked him out.
Yeah.
Knocked him out cold. Their defense destroyed Oklahoma State.
I thought Cunningham was going to be too hot to handle. Well, they handled him.
I mean, he did good.
He did good, but
they handled the rest of the team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of one of those things I know they had said, I think in the Illinois game, the Illinois head coach was like, for Loyola, just said, Krutwig can get his, we just have to stop everybody else. And, sometimes that's it. You just got to, you can't stop LeBron, you can't stop Jordan, you just got to stop everybody else.
Yeah.
And believe me, they did stop everybody else because Krutwig was doing everything. By the end of the game, he was missing shots that he normally makes from point-blank range.
Right.
Because he was exhausted.
Right. So, this Oregon State defense, they've really done that. I mean, they've shut down everybody but the star because you can let the star go, but if the star's got no backup, they can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Houston kind of has that one star. I think they're kind of a more spread-out team where I don't know how Oregon State's going to do against that if they try and focus in on one person or if they get spread too thin on this. Houston's been rolling. They're hot. I mean, they destroyed Cleveland State in that opening matchup just as we thought they would.
Yeah.
It was a 2 seed versus a 15 seed, and not many 2 seeds lose.
Let's just put it
Ohio
out there.
State.
Let's just put it out there right now. YSU would have gotten in. That's who they would have had to face.
Oh, not a chance. We would have been even close. Sorry, guys. We love you, but Houston.
We would have been cheering you on, but would have been tough.
We would have gone by halftime. There would have been a different game on. No offense, but we saw you for the first half. You would probably be down by 20.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's not anything against our team. Just Houston.
It's just a level of competition.
Right.
Just...
I mean, you saw it with Cleveland State, and Cleveland State beat Youngstown State. So, quite a few times, I think. Oregon State, Houston. Who do you got?
I got Houston.
Oregon State has an 8% chance of winning according to ESPN. But
You can't go off that.
No, I'm not going, but I'm just saying. I kind of want to roll with Oregon State.
Yeah, but I've been rolling with all the
But
Cinderella
the
stuff.
thing that concerns me is what you just said about their defense.
Right.
It's been playing good, but I just get concerned if they get spread out. Are they going to be able to guard guys one-on-one?
Which is also one of the biggest downfalls of the zone defense. It's so hard once that zone gets spread. It's like, if you're a good man-to-man defense, I haven't got the chance to watch them. I don't know what they're running. If they're great man-to-man defense, and that's how they're winning games, by just having one big guy in the post and the other four guys are on a tight man-to-man out on the outside, then they can pretty much shut down anyone. But if they're playing a strict, zone, they're going to get spread thin if they're going up against a team that is, good throughout and not just one star.
You know what? Screw. I'm going Oregon State. Let's go.
I'm going Oregon State, too.
Okay.
The one time Matt doesn't go with Cindy.
I'm going with Oregon State. They won in Pac-12. They beat Oklahoma State. I mean, they've had some quality wins.
I like them.
I'm going with them.
If they were to go through here, they would be a 12 seed made the Elite Eight. No 12 seed has ever made the Final Four. No. And only an 8 seed has ever won it.
Loyola made it as an 11 seed in 2018.
Is that what they were again?
Yeah.
So
there's close ones.
Close, but Oregon State would be the one. I like them. I'm going with it.
I'm going with them.
Going on quickly here to the NBA. Not much going on about halfway through the season. The second stint has officially started. It's been kind of up and down, but we had big news in the signing off the two kind of, I'll say, front-running teams, even though they're not the front-runners in their conferences. The Lakers are signing Andre Drummond after his buyout with the Cavs. Matt and I actually announced that on our YSN Live broadcast calling the Cardinal Mooney game.
As I angrily threw my notes down.
What a game that was. We were
that
calling.
Was a great
Final
game.
score 20-6. Cardinal Mooney won it. Jeez. We're actually calling another game tonight on YSN. We're going to be calling on Tuesday and Wednesday. So Wednesday, when this goes live, you can head over to YSN afterwards and check us out there, too.
Because
self-promotion.
Who doesn't get tired of hearing our voices?
I don't know.
Why would you?
I know my mom does. What do you guys think of the Andre Drummond signing for the Lakers? I think it's the right big man to bring in.
Hey, I mean, good job signing him. I mean, he's a great player.
I think he's the perfect fit for that Lakers squad. I mean, he kind of rolls right in there with Anthony Davis, I think. Yeah. He's that dominant inside force who's also super athletic. He's everything Marc Gasol isn't, and that's perfect because Marc Gasol was the completely wrong answer for this team. Yeah. And they're polar opposites, those two.
Have they gotten rid of him yet?
No, I don't think they did.
I don't know if they're going to either, but
no.
In terms of Drummond, good signing for them, but I think him playing along with LeBron, because I kind of noticed when he was in Detroit and Cleveland, he is dominant in the inside, and he goes all out in the inside, but I noticed, like, in terms of getting back on defense, sometimes he'd be a little not engaged. I kind of noticed sometimes when...
I think playing alongside LeBron
but I think
and AD...
that's going to change.
When he's not the only guy having to do something. Because even in Detroit, he had Blake Griffin, but it wasn't the Blake Griffin we used to know.
The Cavs, he had some good guys, but they're all young. And
right.
They,
and I think sometimes it's just like, man, I dropped 30 and 30, and it doesn't matter. Well, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
He said he liked playing in Cleveland. He wanted to be there. The team thought otherwise and moved on from him fairly quickly, even though we gave him $30 million.
Not financially, but I think... like team-wise, development-wise, it was the right choice.
To move along.
To go with Jared Allen. It was the right choice.
Probably, but at the end of the day, you don't want to you got Andre Drummond. You got the right guy at the wrong time, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Because, give this team another 5 years, and Andre Drummond right now would be the perfect guy to throw in there. Yeah. Have Jared Allen and Andre Drummond both in there dominating the paint. That's phenomenal right there. Along with Sexton, Garland, and Okoro. That'd be the perfect five. It's like, yes, that is what you need. That's dominant right there. The defense of that alone is great. You'd be one of the best defensive teams in the country. But, right guy, wrong time.
Right guy, wrong time. And, financially, paying a guy to sit on the bench for a month and a half, and you mean to tell me you couldn't find one trade in a month and a half? I find that so hard to believe.
Trading him for anything is better than releasing him and paying him.
Alec, listen. They got more for JaVale McGee than they got for Andre Drummond.
Tell me how that makes sense.
You got 2 second-round picks and a player that could have some upside. I don't know too much about him, but from what I heard, he has some upside there. 7-footer you can bring off the bench. We'll see how it goes. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you hardly got him for anything.
He's kind of similar to Zizic.
Yeah. That's what they were saying that I read around, but you got more for him than Andre Drummond. You could at least got a draft pick for him.
Give us like 5 second-rounders.
Because we're pretty loaded on draft picks.
We got 2 second-rounders and Isaiah Hartenstein for JaVale.
We're pretty loaded on draft picks. We'll take more.
And we lost like $30 million for Andre.
We're still sitting on Kevin Love's contract. He hasn't played all year.
Right.
So that stuff's frustrating. But
I know you guys say, and I'm still on board with like giving Kevin Love what he deserves for what he did for us. But at the same time, I'm also on the point of we can't sit on the past. You can't rest on your laurels. You got to go out there and continue to compete because everybody else is.
They were just desperate when they signed him.
Right.
Because LeBron just left. They still wanted to keep a big name in because they didn't have any.
Right. They needed somebody, and I respect that, and pay him what he deserves for what he did for the city and the team, give him the championship. But at the same time, it's like they're a team that's trying to grow and trying to do something. And once these rookies' contracts are up, they're going to want money. And if Kevin Love's contract is still sitting there, eating up space, it's only going to hurt the team in the future. And I feel like it's also hurting us when it comes to bringing in and attracting any free agents because we can't offer these massive contracts to guys like other teams can, like the Nets. The Nets 3 years ago were not a superstar team. They got D'Angelo Russell. They had a young Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Joe Harris. And Karis LeVert. They weren't superstars by any means, but they continued to compete and they attracted the superstars. It was the same thing with the Clippers. They weren't anything. They had Lou Will, Patrick Beverley, and Montrezl Harrell. That was their big 3. And they competed in the playoffs. And they made the push. They went, even though we don't have the superstars, we're going to go and we're going to go out there and we're going to try and compete. And that's what attracted guys like Paul George, Kawhi. They were able to bring in all of this talent because they showed they were willing to go out there and compete night in and night out. And that's something the Cavs just haven't done.
The only thing with the Cavs...
When we don't have a superstar that they draft, they don't play. Yeah. They keep waiting. And I know I kind of ripped into you for this in the group chat. You're just like, oh, well, there's next year. I don't want to go on the playoff run now or like try and make it if it hurts our draft spot. But at the same time, we keep saying, oh, there's next year. We're waiting for the guy to develop. We're waiting.
Second next year.
This is next year. Last year, we're like, next year, this team will be good to go. I think they can compete, at least potentially make an 8 seed. We were saying at the beginning of the season, like, oh, this team has potential. Now we're halfway through, and not just you. A lot of people are just saying, let's just tank, let's get our draft pick, and let's move on. And I'm like, no, we're 2.5 games back out of 10th place Chicago, who obviously will move up with their recent acquisitions, but somebody else will fall back down in there, and we'll still be 3.5 games back. You're telling me in 3.5 games back from a potential playoff spot that the team shouldn't be going for that? What the hell are we playing for then? Because if we're not going to the playoffs, what, are we competing to who gets number 1 overall in the draft? I'm tired of being a top 5 pick year in and year out. It's time for these players to go earn the $20 million they're getting to, play for this team. It's time for them to earn that and go do something, or else why the hell are we paying and why the hell are we playing?
Exactly.
Nothing you said I argue with, okay? But in terms of finances, yeah, Kevin Love's contract's in the way. But once they clear that, they're going to, next couple years, I don't know who's going to come there, but they're going to have money to spend.
They will.
They're not set back at all financially.
Right. Right now they're fine, but I'm just worried, Sexton's going to want a big contract. Then Garland's going to want a big contract. Jared Allen's going to get a bigger contract.
And I would give it to Jared Allen.
Right.
Eventually.
Okoro eventually. He's still early on. I think they have it's 4 or 5 seasons.
But here's my thing.
Until the rookies expire. So.
I'm not giving up on Isaac Okoro at all. He's their best defensive player. His offensive game needs a lot of work. But
they didn't draft him for offense.
But is he going to
drafted him for his defense?
Is he going to be your starter going forward? Because if you're going to have a starting small forward, you need to have him play both ends.
Right.
So that's my only thing.
I think they drafted him for the defense, knowing they could improve his offense, though.
That's my only. Oh yeah, and they're saying that, and I think he can. I'm not giving up on him.
Right.
But in terms of the playoffs, again, I'm not just saying just don't do it. I'm not. But Chicago got better. Indiana's still good. They've been in the playoffs how many years? Miami's the number 8 seed. They can catch Toronto, but like,
Miami
who's going to fall out though?
Miami just
Toronto's
acquired
Toronto's not even in right now.
well.
No, Toronto's an 11th
The
seed.
10th seed's Chicago, and you see what the moves they just made.
Right.
I'm not. Listen, I'm as a diehard Cavs fan there is. I stay with them. I don't give up on them. I mean, I get frustrated many times with them. But, yeah, I'm also tired of hearing the draft stuff, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing that too. But, like, as I just said about Okoro, is this where you go get a small forward in the draft? Because I don't know if he's your starter going forward. You're going to have to get rid of Osman because it hasn't worked with him.
He is so inconsistent.
Osman one night will drop 30, and the next night drop 2.
He goes like over 10.
Right.
I mean,
he's a great player, and I love Jetty. He's like probably my favorite Cavs player at the moment, but at the same time, he's not the right fit. Right player, wrong time. You know, he was great coming off the bench behind LeBron. That is his spot.
Yeah.
Let that guy come off the bench and dominate behind a superstar.
But he hasn't been a bench player all this year either. He hasn't done anything off the bench.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He's perfect behind a superstar. Cavs don't have a superstar for him to sit behind.
No.
I mean, you see it. I think one of the biggest reasons they keep Jetty on the team, and one of the reasons moving forward to keep him, is because he has grown a huge relationship with a lot of other big names in the league. You saw it, I think, 2 off seasons ago. He was invited out to play with LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Chris Paul, all in a pickup game. You know, out in L.A.
Remember that.
He just some random, guy from across the pond getting invited over to play with future Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reasons, because he's got that relationship that so many teams are looking for of, hey, can we use you as leverage to bring someone else? I think that's where he fits in on this team. I think maybe he starts to get maybe a diminished role from what he has now if we can bring somebody else in. But at this point in the season, there's no more time to bring anybody else in. You got what you got and make the run.
Back to your point about the playoffs. But this is why, if you can make a run, do it, by all means. If you want to, I want to see him in the playoffs.
I think they have the pieces to do it.
But here's the thing, Alec. I know they were injured the other night. They had Colin Sexton didn't play. But you have to beat the Lakers without LeBron and Anthony Davis. If you can't win games like that, then you shouldn't be in the playoffs. They should have won that game.
They should have. They lost by 20, didn't they?
It was like 40.
40?
Yeah,
it
was. I thought it was like one. Or maybe like 30.
I thought it was like 100 to like 86.
I thought it was like 120 to 86.
Was it?
Hold on, it's coming. No, 186. They lost by 14.
Okay.
But still, I mean, maybe not win the game, but you shouldn't lose by 14. The Lakers. They were playing their B team,
basically.
Yeah.
Other big news in NBA: Mike Woodson has spent 22 of his last 23 seasons coaching the NBA. He was signed as the new head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. What do you guys think of that signing?
I mean, he's from there.
He's from there.
I don't know if it's going to work there. I hope it works for him. I like Mike Woodson. He's a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really heard much about him.
No, I haven't either, but hope
he
it
used
works.
to coach the Knicks.
Hoosiers is a big name team that the Big Ten would love to have back at the top.
Yeah, I didn't know he played there, honestly. I didn't know he was from there, but he was a quality NBA coach, and with Atlanta and the Knicks, hopefully he does it with Indiana, because they need to get back to where they once were.
Another semi-big signing. The Nets signed Lamarcus Aldridge to go along. They're really bringing in big defensive guys now. I mean, you saw Blake Griffin, now Lamarcus Aldridge. They're bringing in defense. What do you think?
That's what they needed. I mean, we talked about it on the show a few times. That's what they needed. We know there's really nobody that can stop them offensively, so we just need more defense from them for them to actually be the odds-on favorite to win it all.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we say it week after week.
Didn't Lou Will go to Atlanta as well?
I think so.
They traded him for Rondo.
Yeah, that's right. He did go to Atlanta. I remember that. There's a couple of ones, but I can't remember.
Where's Magic City?
Magic City.
Nah, I remember he went to that strip club, and that was Georgia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lemon Pepper Lou.
I mean, wasn't that during the bubble?
He's from
That
Georgia.
was during the bubble, yeah. So he got sent to his hometown. He's going back to the strip club. That's when wait a minute. He went to Atlanta? Hold on.
Well, he used to play there, too.
Right. It was Magic City Strip Club or something, I think is the name of it.
Yeah.
Dude, I always thought
the bubble.
I can't believe how many teams he's played for.
I know, he's been on a lot.
Yeah.
He's a great sixth man, too.
Yeah.
But I think it's odd. Clippers giving up both of their last two sixth man of the year candidates in Lou Will and Montrez.
Yeah,
Montrez left earlier.
Yeah, it's pretty questionable. They needed a point guard badly.
Yeah.
So you had to give up something to get something, but Yeah, it's going to hurt their
Lou
bench.
Will is a bad one to get rid of. When you got a guy averaging 20 points off the bench, you're not getting that production anywhere else.
Yeah, but you talk about playoff Rondo, it's going to help him in the playoffs.
Hopefully
it works.
And, I don't think there's any player that matches up mentally with LeBron James more than Rondo. No other player out there has the mindset on the floor, sees everything the way Rondo and LeBron do. Those are the two greatest minds in basketball.
You know what? And they both of them battled. Go ahead.
Yeah, the big. Well, go ahead and talk.
I was just about Rondo. I mean, him and LeBron battled out when LeBron was first with the Cavs and he was at the Celtics. Then LeBron in Miami went at it with the Celtics, and then they played together and won a championship. So he knows not how to stop him by any means. He
probably knows more about LeBron than any other player.
They both have the top basketball IQs in the NBA.
Oh, and potentially NBA history.
Yeah.
I mean, those two are, I'll say, gods on the floor when it comes to mentality.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I heard, I just remember a couple that I wanted to touch on the trade. So we got Oladipo going to Miami with Jimmy B.
I like
it. Will that bump them up a little more? Give them what they were looking for?
I don't think so.
They're going to move up, I think, in the standings, but I don't think they're on, obviously not on Brooklyn's level. I don't think they're on Philly's level. I don't think they're on Milwaukee's level.
Right. I like to pick up if it was anyone else. I don't think it's the right fit for the Heat. I don't think it's what they needed.
Okay.
Oladipo's kind of a one-man band. He's kind of like Jimmy B. They're one-man shows who need a good supporting cast, but now you get these two guys that are kind of, I don't know, they're both
very butt heads.
They're very similar, I feel like. Okay. Both kind of aggressive. Jimmy B, is super outspoken. Oladipo isn't outspoken, but he's kind of given off this feel everywhere he's gone of, I'm running this thing. This is my show. Let me run it.
Well, this is clearly...
And Jimmy B's kind of done the same thing in all the places he's been. And I get them both in the same spot. It could either work out great like the 90s Bulls, or it could be a complete dumpster fire.
I think
if in the Last Dance documentary with Jordan, kind of what I'm thinking of, just bringing in these massive personalities when it came to, Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, putting those three guys on the team. They butted heads all the time.
Yeah.
But they were able to make it work because they all had the common goal.
Yeah.
And they were all fantastic together. Yeah. They didn't necessarily always love playing together, but they were the best at it.
I don't think Jordan liked going to get Rodman from his house.
Right. I'm sure. Right. But it's like, is it going to be more like that dynamic when it comes to it, or is it going to be? I don't even know what the comparison because you don't remember.
I just think, in terms of that stuff, what you're touching on here,
because I'm thinking about more of the chemistry of the team.
But here's my response to that. I don't know if it's going to be a huge issue because you talk about the Heat culture all the time. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the league.
Oh, shit.
If you buy into that Heat culture of grinding it out, playing harder than everybody else, and that's what Oladipo's style is.
Right.
And if he can fit along with that, because Jimmy Butler hasn't been he's different than he was in Philly and Minnesota and Chicago.
He's not taking.
He bought into that Heat culture, and
Yeah.
if Oladipo could do that along with him, they're going to be better.
I mean, that's the only thing. Is Oladipo going to be able to buy into that culture
I think
down
he can.
here? I think he can, but it's more of a question, will he buy into it? And then once he's in it, will he continue to once he's not getting as many touches as he would or not playing the style he wants to? Because there's a whole big thing. I can go anywhere. I can buy into your culture, sure. But 2 months later, am I still going to be happy in that role? That's the big question.
Yeah.
Once we get 2 months down the line into playoff time, is he still going to be like, this? I need more. It's one of those situations we don't. It's going to be interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One more trade. The Norman Powell and Gary Trent. Trent Jr. trade.
Yeah, I like that one a lot for the Blazers.
Raptors.
They got Gary Trent, and I think Rodney Hood went there too.
Rodney Hood as well. They also got Rodney Hood.
Interesting move for the Blazers, who I think are 5th seed right now in the West.
Norman Powell had an immediate effect last night against the Raptors.
He's having a career year. Really.
I think he's good. He's a phenomenal three-point shooter.
He's great.
And his defense is pretty locked down, too, I would think.
I think this is a good piece that the Blazers needed.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, Gary Trent Jr. and Hood are kind of like, hate to lose, but at the same time, bringing in a younger Norman Powell, or who's kind of right there on the... He could start his prime and actually dominate and be a great third piece to go along with McCollum and the Dame. It could be a good move. I think a lot of these moves of man, this could either be a really great move or it could ruin everything.
I
think that's what so many of these trades were this season. Just like, ooh, I like that, but it's one of those.
Blazers team, trying to get that little extra more piece to push to,
they're like able to beat, so they can move up.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Lakers and the Clippers, and those guys aren't even ahead of the division. I mean, look at Phoenix and Utah.
Phoenix
we'll talk about that in a little bit.
So,
before we touch on that, I want to touch on the MVP race. Yes. Right now, without looking at my screen, who is your favorite for the MVP?
Kevin Love. Now,
well, here's my thing. In terms of like Embiid and LeBron being injured, to me that values your MVP stance more. I mean, for the Lakers, if they just, as they watched a few games when LeBron first went out, if they start tanking, that just shows how more valuable LeBron is.
Right.
So I don't think when somebody's injured, they should just be excluded from the conversation and put somebody else in front.
I don't know, actually. So, Matt, give me yours.
Okay, so I only saw one name, and it was Giannis. I know he was up there anyways. So I know names like Giannis and Jokic are up there, but I'm not... I know I like them, but I'm not bandwagon too much, but Dame Lillard is going to go.
I was going to go there, too.
He's going to go quick. Is he even on that list?
Yes, so the Kia NBA MVP race official rankings, I pulled this off NBA.com this morning, getting ready for the show. Number one's Nikola Jokic, who is actually kind of... I think he's my favorite right now to do it. Just because we don't see big men dominate, and he is dominating. And it's not like he's a fast guy. He's not a super athletic guy. He is playing rough, hard-nosed basketball, and I love seeing it. Number 2 on the list, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's averaging 28, 11, and 6, just behind Jokic, who's averaging 27, 11, and 8. So gets the points, but not the assists. I'm like, Nikola Jokic, to get 8 assists coming out of the post play where he is kind of one of those things like, man, that's nice to see, because when we're saying LeBron putting up, 27, 11, and 8, or 28, 11, and 6, we're like, that's an MVP right there. He should win MVP. Now we're seeing Jokic do it in the position that you're not supposed to do that from. That's why I've got him as my MVP. He's doing something where you shouldn't, and it's not like the Nuggets are superstar-heavy teams. Like, even, I think Dame Lillard has more to work with on the Trailblazers. I think LeBron has more to work with. Embiid has more to work with. James Harden has more to work with. These guys have so much around them, and Jokic has Paul Millsap, who I love. I think he's a great player.
Paul Millsap. I liked him with Atlanta.
And, oh man, it's slipping my mind.
Oh, Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray, that's the one. But like Jamal Murray is an on and off guy. He can give you 20, he can give you 30. Sometimes he'll give you.
He can go off for a
while. One night, he dropped 50. So.
Right, but he's not one of those players that's guaranteed to give you those points every time. And I think Jokic is the glue for this team. Without Jokic, the Jazz aren't contenders. I think at all. I think they're a good team, maybe back at 8, but I don't think they're
Denver.
A top seed. It's Denver.
Yeah.
Going third on the list, Dame Lillard, 34 and 7 is his averages right now. I think he's having a good year. I want to see more out of the Trailblazers before I would give him that spot, though.
That's fair.
He's definitely having a career year this year.
Definitely.
He's tired of. I mean, they made the playoffs a couple years. He's tired of losing second round. I know they went and played the Golden State Warriors a couple years ago, but got swept.
They keep getting the worst teams to go up against in that second round.
They're having tough
but they've been going full force. They went out and got Powell, and I mean, Carmelo Anthony's still doing pretty good. And
it was a good job by them to keep Carmelo on that team. Yeah. It was kind of one of those things in the offseason we touched on. Does Melo stay? Does he go?
Yeah.
I think it was good on them to keep him there.
And the other guy, the dude they got from Miami. Derek Jones Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Not really good offensively, but his defense is good. Right. And that's why they got
him. Good role player for them, too.
Yes. So they got the pieces there to...
And actually, right now on the 4th spot, this is the part I really don't agree with, because I don't think he's actually having that good of a year. And this is going to be a shock coming from me. Yeah. LeBron James. LeBron James averaging 25, 7, and 7. To me, that's not LeBron. That's a declined LeBron.
Yeah.
25 points, meh. I liked him a lot more last season. I think he finished averaging 26, 27 points, but he was also leading the league in assists, and he was averaging nearly 10 rebounds a game. The guy was averaging nearly a triple-double, and I think he should have won it last year. I don't think he's 4th this year. And I think it's odd, once again, you don't see Anthony Davis even in the top 10 of this list, when right now it looks like Anthony Davis is more valuable to the Lakers than LeBron is. AD left the Lakers, got injured. He's been off the Lakers. The last 10 games, Lakers are 4-6, even with LeBron in 8 of those games.
They were kind of struggling even when LeBron was playing.
Right. They were, I think, 4-4 in those 8 games with him in the last 10. Then they lose him. They would have been 3-4.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Then Joel Embiid's right behind him. I think Embiid's having a better season. I like to see him get some more assists, kind of like Jokic. He's 29, 11, and 3. I think if Embiid gets those numbers up and he stays the 1 seed in the East, I think Embiid very real shot at MVP this season. James Harden's been getting a lot of hype. It's so hard to give it to a guy on the Nets.
That's literally stacked right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking 3 MVP caliber candidates, and they're all kind of averaging 25, 28 points a game, any one of them goes off one night, it's like, yeah, but like, come on. It's like, those guys they may not be scoring one night, and you may go off and be the leading scorer for 40, but it's only because James Harden can drive it, and Kyrie and KD can sit out on the wings and just wait for a kick out if anybody goes to double team Harden in the paint like you have to. If you double team Harden, if you double team Kyrie, or if you double team KD, they're just going to give it to the other guy. One of them is going to be open every single time.
And they're most likely going to hit it, so...
Right. We're talking about 3 of the best scorers.
In this
best
era.
Ball handlers.
Maybe
in
ever.
this era in all time. I mean, KD's already been put up there best scorer. Up there with it. I mean, that's just based on the way he's built and the way he performs. He's great at it. And that, he's used his body to his advantage. That's what you got to do. I mean, you see it all the time. Like, would Manute Bol have been what he was without being 7'4"?
Yeah.
Probably not. Would, David Robinson have been great as a 6'2" guard? No. Maybe. But he played a big physical inside game. It's part of, using your body to your advantage. And they got Kyrie, one of the best ball handlers of all time, and is great in the clutch. He's a great shooter. He has great circus-esque finishes, and he can drive. He's got speed, and he's great on defense. Then you got James Harden, who's just as good as an offensive scorer as KD and Kyrie, and you put these 3 together, those 3 guys alone are putting together 80 points a night.
It's a 3-headed monster.
Right. And it's phenomenal, but it's so hard to give anybody the nod on that team because of how much is there. And that's not a dip on any one of them. It's just when you put those 3 guys together, it spread the defense so thin.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going there. LeBron's injury, he's going to be out for another 3 to 5 weeks, and AD as well for the Lakers, still out another 3 weeks, potentially more depending on what they do. We'll touch here. Utah Jazz still in first place of the West. They're 3 games ahead of probably the biggest surprise of the season. The Phoenix Suns is the 2 seed in the West.
That's unbelievable.
I knew they'd be good.
I love it.
I think we all knew they'd potentially be like a 6, 7, 8 team based on their performance last year at the end of it, at the bubble. Then they came out this season. They were kind of slow to start. Now they've hit full pedal to the metal.
You got
and
Booker.
They're up to second.
Chris Paul. You got Booker.
Yeah.
Amazing.
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre
Don't forget about
Ayton.
him. I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they got one more guy.
Pick somebody else up.
I don't know.
I don't want
to. But
I like
New York Nets have moved up, or not New York Nets anymore. Brooklyn Nets.
New York Knicks. Oh.
No, they were the
Well,
New
they've been
Jersey
doing
Nets.
pretty well.
Oh, I'm just getting everything confused.
You think that you almost put off New York
Well, the
Nets.
Knicks are doing
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I was looking at baseball after everything. We'll touch on baseball here shortly, too. Nets are up to the second in the East. They've done good with their 3-headed monster down there. 76ers are still in control of it in the East. They're first place. Biggest surprises right now.
Bridges.
Mikal Bridges, yeah. Surprises. Knicks in third.
Whew.
It's like,
the past
who? But cool.
The past
Julius
decade,
Randle and R.J. Barrett.
Oh, who can't forget about Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah, he's
that
good.
guy is.
My surprise in the
something
East
else.
is the Hornets at 5.
Oh, they were for this earlier,
Yeah,
I thought.
Hornets.
Maybe
Even with,
they're
now-
updated, but
LaMelo is out now, but that kid, He's just itching to get back.
And then in the West,
he's averaging nearly 20.
I'm kind of surprised by the Mavericks, like, kind of not being bad, but like, I kind of thought they'd be a little more than what they are.
There's been a lot of issues with Porzingis, apparently.
Yeah.
That's going on kind of behind the scenes team-wise, so chemistry could be affecting that there. But I did have Knicks in 3rd, Hornets in 4th. Toronto's back in 11th. The Rockets are back in 14th, and OKC is back in 13th.
This one's from CBS.
Oh, I was on NBA.com this morning.
Maybe they just did an update or something.
Potentially.
Okay.
This was everything I pulled was from the NBA.com this morning at like 11 a.m. So keep that in mind. But Toronto, their playoff dominance looks to be coming to an end. They have 7 straight appearances. Houston has 8 straight appearances. That's the longest in the NBA right now. And both teams are probably going to make it. OKC has 5 straight appearances. They're probably not going to make it. It's like those 3 teams have kind of been there every year that we've been talking. It's like, oh, these are 3 teams. You know they're going to be there, probably around the top, and now they're just not there.
Yeah.
I think those are kind of the big surprises. Even with their losses, both teams, I know the Rockets and OKC are kind of in rebuild mode at the moment, so they're back there. Toronto is probably my biggest shock. Back at 11, it's like, oh man, what's happening?
And even last year without Kawhi, they were still top of the East. I just don't know what happened.
And Pascal Siakam's having a down year. It's one of those teams like,
but I think,
man, what's not working here?
I don't want to get too deep into it, but I think when they decide to rebuild, which looks like it's going to be happening,
probably soon.
It's not. I don't think it's going to be that quick because Fred VanVleet's not that old. He's young.
Mm-hmm.
Siakam's young. I mean, they already have 2 young stars, not all stars.
They'll probably have to get Lowry out of there and bring someone else along.
So I mean, if they can draft well, I mean, they're not far away.
Don't forget, I think is Serge Ibaka still on that team?
No, he's with the Clippers.
He's with the Clippers, yeah.
Can't remember all the moves that get made, you know.
Do they still have what's his name? OG
Anunoby.
Oh, yeah.
Him too. He's a young guy that's been playing, but he's still
right. That's going to do it for our NBA talk here. We're going to go on to NFL. Free agencies going on. It's crazy. What are your guys' biggest pickups right now in the offseason? Obviously, Watt. But, like, probably the past 2 weeks that we haven't got the chance to talk about either for the Steelers or anybody else. What are you guys like? Ooh, yeah, I like that one.
Not, like, so much, ooh, yeah, I like it. But I was kind of upset about Tyson Alualu, going to the Jaguars, and then I just found out the other day that he declined it. He's coming back to Pittsburgh. I was happy about that.
It's a good move for Pittsburgh to bring him back in.
But one that really kind of caught my eye. I can't really think of it at the moment.
Well, how about this?
I'm trying to remember all the ones that happened.
Yeah, what team biggest winner? Because right now I got Patriots.
Yeah, there you go.
Patriots are the biggest winner.
They loaded up.
They picked up Hunter Henry.
Oh yeah, they loaded up that offense.
The receiver from, I think they got him from the Niners. Forget his name.
Kendrick Bourne. And
Kendrick Bourne.
Then they got who was the tight end from the Titans?
Hunter Henry.
Oh. The
Titans?
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Smith.
Yeah, Johnny Smith.
I think they got some offensive linemen in there, too. I mean, they loaded up Cam Newton's offense. I think they're the biggest winner. I've got the NFL power rankings from NFL.com. They still got the Buccaneers at first, Chiefs at second, Packers at third. Kind of biggest surprise was that... Huh?
Who's at fourth there?
The Bills. Yeah. You act like I don't like the Bills.
I know.
They got the Ravens at 5, so keep your mirrors on. They got the Steelers all the way back at 10th. They got my Brownies in 7th. They got your Seahawks in 8th, too. One of Matt's 18 teams.
Sure.
That likes like half the teams in the league.
No, I don't. I like the Bills and Steelers. I just like Russell Wilson. That's it. I was almost about to get a Bears Russell Wilson jersey.
They've got Washington all the way up at 19th, kind of a bit of a surprise. They didn't end up making playoffs last time. One of the ones still down kind of low is the Patriots at 20. I'm like, really? After everything? I put them back up. Cowboys are at 21st. There's talk about the Bears potentially being able to make a playoff run, but they're back at 22nd. And behind them, I don't think there's too many teams that have a chance this year.
Led by the Red Rocket.
Right. But like going 24 down, there's the Broncos, Falcons, Panthers, Eagles, Texans, Jets, Bengals, Lions, Jags. Probably going to stay around that spot most of the season. We could see a shock out of any one of them, depending on who the Jets take in the draft. I think could be a big shakeup. Really, obviously, the draft will tell us. We're sitting a month away.
It's coming up, man.
Yes, it's coming.
Yeah, 1 month away from the NFL draft. I want to go quickly through the Browns pickups. They got some great pickups on defense. They signed in John Johnson, the safety. I think they got him from the Rams.
I think he was from the Rams, yeah.
Yeah, he's on like a 2 or 3 year, $30 million contract. He's a safety they needed to go opposite Denzel Ward. Going to be a great duo, I have a feeling. Interesting one, they got Takk McKinley from the Falcons, formerly of the Falcons where he last played. He bounced around in the last offseason and kept failing physicals, found his way to the Browns on a cheap deal, and I think it's a perfect pickup to go opposite of Myles Garrett. Because Browns kind of been looking for that other guy to who's going to steal the opposite edge. When Garrett's getting double-teamed, who can they have come in? Takk McKinley, a former first-rounder, 13 sacks in his first 2 seasons with the Falcons. I like that move. They got in Troy Hill, the cornerback. They brought in 2 older linebackers, 1 Anthony Walker, 2 Malcolm Smith, the former Super Bowl MVP. Mm-hmm. Love that move. Then they got the defensive tackle, Malik Johnson, the former Pro Bowler from the Eagles. Love that one. I think Browns got a lot of good moves in there.
They did. I mean,
they touched the defense that they needed.
They addressed some of the
They
needs.
also re-signed Rashad Higgins.
Yeah, they made the right moves. They made smart moves.
Yeah.
That you said for their defense. And that was
what was their biggest problem this season? There wasn't another safety. It was Denzel
and that
alone.
Was it. Yeah.
They needed another corner for depth. They got Troy Hill. Obviously, we'll see how some of the younger guys they had drafted, like Greedy Williams does at corner safety, wherever he decides to fit back in once he's safe. I'll say safe, but not injured anymore.
Yeah, once he's healthy.
That's the word I was looking for. Those are kind of like some of the biggest pickups I had for my Browns.
Yeah.
Let's talk NFL draft, month away.
Okay.
Jaguars officially targeting Trevor Lawrence as expected at number 1 in the draft. No shock there, right?
No surprise.
Okay.
We all have that penciled in pretty much.
So, which quarterback goes second in this year's draft? I think that's becoming the big question.
Who's picking again?
Everyone.
Second? In the second.
Second? Ooh.
Jets, right?
Jets.
Jets.
And then I think Falcons are third.
No,
Niners are
they
third
traded
now.
up.
They traded up.
Right.
And I want to talk about that for
Falcons
a second.
are fourth, aren't they?
Yeah,
Something
I know they're
like
right
that.
up there.
Go ahead, man.
But, okay, I'm going to come on and say this here. It is not going to be Trey Lance, okay?
That wasn't the question.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just putting that out there.
For what? For 2 or 3?
For 2.
Okay.
4 or 3.
I say... I don't know. I got to go Zach Wilson.
That's what's rumored to be that the Jets are looking at him.
I don't understand
But you don't know. I mean...
Zach Wilson over Justin Fields? Are you kidding me?
I mean, that's what
What
they've been
scouting
saying.
report?
Like,
what film is anyone looking at and saying, Zach Wilson's definitely a better quarterback?
See, I'm with you on that. But
When,
it's not about
when
what
Justin Fields can have a
Listen.
10-to-1 touchdown-interception ratio, and, Zach Wilson's over here having an all-right season with BYU in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Justin Fields dominating the Big Ten and going to the national championship game. Yeah, you know what? Zach Wilson, he's definitely the better quarterback. That makes sense. When you look at what they're working with, it's like, yeah, Justin Fields got the better targets and stuff. But at the same time, you look at his delivery to those guys and the way they're actually doing. Justin Fields needs work. I'm not going to say he's not. But I think they're starting to get this Ohio State bias in there of Buckeye quarterbacks aren't good. They fall down the draft. And that's probably the biggest problem. But Justin Fields, one, isn't an Ohio State quarterback. He's a Georgia quarterback. He was brought into Ohio State later, but he was still playing a Georgia style.
And let me touch on 2 things you said. First of all, the whole Ohio State quarterback thing. I know Troy Smith and everything, but they can't blame everything on Dwayne Haskins, okay? The guy was on a bad team, okay? Mm-hmm. All right? So don't this, like...
And they made the playoffs, but bad team.
He didn't play.
He didn't play.
He didn't get the chance.
He didn't get the chance, okay? And I'm only going Zach Wilson here because what you said, what's everybody else see in this guy? Well, it's not about what I see. I think the Jets should pick Justin Fields. But you asked me who they were going to pick.
I hope they pick Zach Wilson just so they get another quarterback that just is...
Yeah. Or
has a ton of talent but gets stuck on the wrong team.
I say...
Because you know what? I'm tired of my Buckeye quarterbacks getting put on, I'll say crap teams just getting left there to rot and ruining the Buckeye quarterback name in the NFL draft. That's what happens. They get picked by the worst and then just don't get the
What should Jets not even pick another quarterback? What if they stick with Darnold and take that offensive...
Like they probably should.
What if they take the offensive lineman out of Oregon? What was it? Penei Sewell or something like that?
Yeah.
I like Darnold, but I don't know why they want to move on from him, but it seems like they're pretty much going to.
But
they ruined him.
But I don't even know anymore because I'm going to go right into this. The Niners traded up for the third pick. Like, what are you doing? Jimmy Garoppolo got you to the Super Bowl, okay? Hey, idiots!
We know the 49ers love to move on from a quarterback after they go to the Super Bowl.
That is true. Yeah.
But Jimmy G's only problem is he's hurt constantly.
Right.
Yeah. When he's healthy,
he's healthy. He's
great. They need to bring in a young guy to sit behind him. You know what? If they get Justin Fields at 3 or Zach Wilson at 3,
but they're saying
let
Mac
him sit there,
now.
or even Mac Jones, I think potentially could fit the Garoppolo system, as Garoppolo learned from Brady, and they're probably going to bring in a similar style to a Brady. I think Mac Jones is similar in a build to Brady in style, and I think that would fit in well to let him sit behind. Because definitely Tom Brady would not be Tom Brady if he was thrown into the fire immediately. Yeah. He needed some time, get him developed. I think that a Mac Jones could use some time to develop into an NFL system, make him a system quarterback. There's nothing wrong with being a system quarterback if you're successful.
Brady developed pretty quickly. I mean, he was in a Super Bowl second season, something like that.
Right in there.
Yeah, he got thrown into the fire quickly, but he still was given time to develop into the system.
That's true.
Coming out week 1, a rookie should not be starting. Week 1, and I think the 49ers in a place where they can have somebody ride the bench 6, 7, 8 games. They don't have to throw him in immediately. You saw it with the Browns even when they brought in Baker Mayfield. They had Tyrod Taylor in their first 3-4 games. Baker Mayfield would kind of come in, kind of find the flow of the team, find the system. Then once they actually threw him in there, it was like this, oh, look at this is a good working machine. This has some fluidity to it. We could do something, and they did.
Okay, now I'm starting to see this a little bit more. You said Garoppolo gets hurt. He does get hurt a lot. I mean, you'd rather have Mac Jones or Justin Fields come in rather than, what's his name?
Whoever their backup was.
I can't even remember. What was his name? I forget. Mullins. Nick Mullins.
Yeah, Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather bring in a rookie that I can develop.
Yeah.
And whether that's Justin Fields, Mac Jones, or Zach Wilson, I think those are all good moves for them. I don't have a problem with 49ers moving up to grab a quarterback. Because I think they do need one. Because Jimmy G clearly isn't the answer. Because injury-prone quarterbacks don't get you anywhere. Ask the Colts.
Exactly.
Andrew Luck didn't get them anywhere. Because he always got injured.
Yep. Then he retired.
Right. I mean, injuries ruin careers. This was the other big question. Mock drafts have Jalen Waddle going ahead of teammate and Heisman Trophy winner. Let me finish. I know you don't like people doing that. But mock drafts have Jalen Waddle going ahead of teammate and Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith. Who is the better wide receiver in the NFL? Keep in mind, we're not saying college football.
Yeah.
There's a huge discrepancy between Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, at least, which is pretty much all we got, and Heisman Trophy winning running backs, and their counterparts in the NFL who didn't win a Heisman, who are just as good or better. Zeke, McCaffrey, all these guys that didn't win the Heisman, Barkley, better than the guys that did. You know, so is Devontae Smith had the better season with an injured Jalen Waddle to not take up all the targets. Waddle was out a good few portion of the last part of the season. Devontae Smith still had an incredible year, but who do you think is going to be the better NFL wide receiver?
Let me first off go by everybody who listens to this podcast. Do not pay any attention to mock drafts. Okay, I sent one to you this morning. It's absurd. I read them to make fun of these people.
Trey Lance going second overall.
Yeah. Oh God.
If Trey Lance goes second overall,
I don't know what. I'll just shut it off. And we volunteered for it too. Potentially.
Matt, you gotta stop saying we volunteered for the draft. That's not how it works.
We signed up to volunteer. Okay, and
we might get a
spot. I will if I'm there at the draft. Okay, and Trey Lance gets drafted. They will hear my voice.
I thought you were going to say you were going to leave. I'm like, no, you're not.
No, I'm not going to leave. I am not going to leave. I'll probably get escorted out. But I'm not going to leave. They will hear my voice echo through the...
All right, well, focus on the question at hand. Better wide receiver for the NFL, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. I know most of the people are saying Devontae Smith is too small.
And I was just about to say that. That's bull crap. It really is. Nobody's too small. Okay?
Well,
nobody's too big.
Well, they could be too small or too big, but it's just a matter of how they play.
Exactly.
Devontae Smith doesn't play like he's only 170 pounds.
I know.
Which is his big downside. Is
he's not
he
afraid to get hit.
Doesn't matter. If the guy is willing to go out there and jump out the building like he can, I mean, obviously the size didn't, stop him in college. He dominated, won the Heisman. One of, 2 ever wide receivers to win it. Clearly put up the numbers and show that it doesn't matter that he's only 170. He's going to outrun you, and then he's going to put on the brakes and turn and going to leave you 20 feet behind him. Because we know one thing about Alabama running backs. They are the best route runners in football.
Receivers.
Mm-hmm. No one is better route runners than an Alabama running back because of how... Or wide receiver, whatever. Who cares? They're running it with the ball anyways.
Yeah.
the way they're...
But here's my answer, though. And this is nothing going off of Jalen Waddle. I know he got hurt. I still think he's going to be a great in this game. But, I got to stick with Devontae Smith.
I think Devontae's got it, too. I don't know why he's slipping
just
down
the way
so
he
much.
runs routes. I mean, do you watch his highlights? Like, they're just so
I saw
smooth.
him enough in the Ohio State game. I don't need to rewatch him.
Well, obviously.
I think he had 200 yards in the first half. I'm good. I don't know. I saw everything I needed to see.
He didn't even play in the second half.
Yeah, he was out
and
injured.
he won MVP.
Right. I saw enough. I'm good. I know what he's. I know what he is. I know what he's gonna. It's one of those moments you're like, I don't need to watch film with this guy. I saw him once.
You see him once, it's just
you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You're getting a number one wide receiver in the NFL.
You're getting a guy that will score you touchdowns.
Right.
A lot of them. So.
I mean.
And same with
I think
Waddle.
he's a good pick. Waddle's going to be great, too. His route running is incredible, and he's fast as a bullet. I mean, the guy's quick, shifty, he's got it all. He's a total package wide receiver, but so is Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, I feel like, did more.
So is most of the receivers out of Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Henry Ruggs.
I mean, you look at their class
Mark
year after
Cooper,
year.
Julio Jones.
They're incredible.
Julio Jones, yeah. So.
I mean, even last year, they were competing for the two of the 3 top receivers to go in the draft.
Yeah.
And they still got guys coming up. Who's that guy? They get that one dude, Billingsley, coming through. He's going to be great, too.
A ton. I mean, Alabama right now, I'll say it, I think is more loaded than Ohio State is.
Yeah. And Ohio State is loaded.
Right. And Ohio State's getting more loaded as we're speaking. They're just snagging up everybody that's, a 4 or 5 star in this, country along with those guys. That's going to move us away from the NFL. We'll talk more as we get closer in there. Next up, NHL. Tampa and Washington tied for first. Penguins are back at 9th in the conference. Nearly halfway through the season. Who are your guys' mid-season favorites?
Now, 9th overall.
Yeah.
But in their division, they are in 3rd. Okay, they're 4 out of 1st. Washington's 1st. New York is in 2nd. And they just beat New York the other night. And they play them again tonight. So if they win again tonight, they're tied for 2nd in their division. So that's still pretty good. But what was your question?
Mid-season favorite for the Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup?
Yeah. Who do you guys got?
Defending champs are looking really good.
Yeah.
Who?
Tampa Bay. They're looking
Tampa
really
Bay
good.
That was
looking good.
Tampa and Washington both tied at 50 points right now. And right behind them, I think it was Carolina with 49 points,
Capitals have 50 points, too. So
that's what I said, Matt. If you,
I thought you said. Oh, okay, yeah.
Said Tampa and Washington.
I thought you said Carolina.
So you got Tampa, you got Carolina, you got, as you said, all them 3, and then the Islanders are still there. The Penguins aren't too far behind.
You got some sleeper teams. Philadelphia is a sleeper team. Okay, as much as I hate to say it, but they've been winning. They've lost, some games that they should have won, but they've been winning games that, hey, they put them on a scale. And
I think finally, Columbus Blue Jackets aren't going to be in the playoffs to upset a 1 seed this season. So. Darn.
You still got Boston. I mean, you talk about Pittsburgh and Boston. They have playoff experience.
Yes.
You can't overlook them, but they're in the middle of the pack. But you got to roll with the defending champs right now. They're on a roll.
I like Tampa.
Yes.
And until somebody beats them, we say it all the time.
You're the champ until you're not. East runs through Cleveland, right, Tristan Thompson?
Yeah, they were
Chicago.
5-20.
Chicago had a great start. I think they were in 3rd at one point, but they've fallen off. They were losing.
They just lost. They got swept in their last series too.
Yeah. So they gotta figure it out.
All right, not too much. Halfway through the NHL season.
Yep.
I'll obviously get into that more as we move along. It's kind of one of those ones we half and half follow until it's time to follow.
Yeah.
MLB opening day this Thursday. Full 162 game schedule with the adjustments we've already talked about earlier in the show. I think 2-3 weeks ago we talked about
the last one.
There changes.
Might have mentioned it.
So, opening day, 15 games headlined by the Blue Jays and Yankees to kick it off at 1 p.m. Followed by our team, the Indians.
110.
Your team, not mine.
Right, whatever. Who
cares
cares?
about your team?
Final season as the Tribe begins at Detroit at 1 p.m. I want to talk about this Yankees team first. What do you guys think of this Yankee squad? They now got Kluber and Garrett Cole.
No more excuses.
No more excuses.
They got all the pitching.
Aroldis Chapman's still in their bullpen.
Their
too.
bullpen's sick. Their
That
lineup's
guy
sick.
is a bull horse.
As much as I hate Chapman, I love Chapman.
I will
He's
still
one of those
say
guys
today,
you love to
I
hate.
had an argument with our buddy, our buddy the other couple months ago. I still believe Aroldis Chapman is probably one of the best closers in the game.
Oh,
still.
yeah.
If not the best.
That's not even an argument.
He was arguing with me. I'm like, dude, just sit down and shut up.
I'm like, no, there's no fall off.
No!
If the guy's still rolling in there at 100 miles per hour, I think he's good.
And every pitch is 100 miles an hour.
He's been doing it for like 6-7
It's not
years.
like 80, 100, you know.
And he's done it without getting injured.
Timed. Yeah.
Like, the guy hasn't had Tommy John surgery, which is like the big thing. It's like,
When
almost waiting for
literally
Chapman
every
to
pitch
get
he
injured.
goes through.
If
Right.
you hit a home run off him, you gotta keep it. I'm sure Rajay Davis kept
Keep it up and
his.
put it on the shelf. You're not doing it again.
No.
It's like hitting a home run off Mariano Rivera. It doesn't happen often.
No.
And Rivera probably the best closer of all time.
Yeah.
At least up there.
Up there. Definitely.
But obviously, Yankees, no more excuses. I didn't want to talk about our Cleveland squad, though.
Yeah.
Pitching rotation could be the big push they need.
Definitely.
Kind of reminiscent of the last time they had their influx of youth with Kluber kind of headlining it with Carrasco and all the guys last time. Then we got Shane Bieber, Zach Plesac, Aaron Savali, Logan Allen, and my young favorite, Tristan McKenzie. I love
awesome.
McKenzie.
That's my boy.
He's awesome.
I think we all pretty much
Plesac,
like
man.
him.
Plesac's my dude. I get a jersey coming in already. I mean, but Bieber, he just won the Cy Young, right?
Right.
And
You're an Indians fan. You don't even know that.
Yeah.
I would have knew that.
well, I knew it. I'm just I don't want to act like I know everything on this
It's
show.
your team.
But
you just have to act like you know everything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what the rest of us do.
but their rotation is there every year. No matter what guys they're up there, whether it's Clevenger
And I think
or
right now they got
or
the youth
Bauer.
movement that Cleveland needs.
So their pitching every year is there.
I
Their
was-
closer is either going to be Karinchak or who's the other guy? I forget. Who it was.
Just a lot of guys out
A lot
there.
of different
I
guys.
think it'll be kind of a rotation of a few at first. I was kind of mad we got rid of Frankie Lindor, but at the same time, I'm looking who we got. I'm like, you know what?
Hey,
Last time we got rid of our big guy and Grady Sizemore, Travis Hefner. Look what happened just a couple years later.
They're not going to.
I mean, a lot of young guys were same thing we said the last time around when the Indians went to the World Series. I got a lot of young guys, probably another year or two, and then they went, oh no, we're here now.
They're not going to suck at all. I'm not saying that.
We've
But
got
to me, they're going to be around where they were last year.
we've got the Naylor brothers. I don't know if both of them made it. I know definitely Josh Naylor made it. I don't know about Bo Naylor.
I believe he might have.
He might have.
Not 100%. I know Bobby Bradley, Bradley Zimmer, Kyle Nelson,
They
Anthony
did not.
Goes, and
Where?
Blake Parker did not make the opening
did
day
not make
rockers.
it. And a lot of people were upset about that because of Bobby Bradley. And this guy, he's going to be good, but he's just not there yet.
I think
okay?
what I heard was one of the big reasons why he probably wasn't made on the opening day. He doesn't have any more moves, so he can't be sent back down to the minors. He doesn't have any more moves. They're going to wait another year or bring him halfway through the season just if they because of roster space. They're trying to keep as many guys as possible without having to. Because if they bring him up, they can't send him back.
Their first baseman should be Franmil Reyes or somebody.
Right.
Unless they put him
It will probably be Bobby Bradley eventually once injuries set in and guys go cold. Then they can bring some of those guys that can be moved and move them. That's what a lot of these guys that didn't make the roster that probably should have. That's only because they can't be moved down if they slump. That was part of it. Jake Bowers, Yu Chang, Ben Gamel, and Oliver Perez did make the opening day roster. My big thing this season, Jose Ramirez needs to repeat his 2020 performance, have another MVP.
He's going to have to if they want to
and if they want to go past the Twins and the Sox this year, he's got to be it.
And Yu Chang is going to be a good shortstop Sunday. But we got that Ahmad Rosario. I think he'll be in there.
Rosario.
And we also got Eddie Rosario, former Minnesota Twin.
Yeah, he's
out in the outfield. Mm-hmm. So that's something the Indians always look for too, outfielders.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and that you can't during spring training, I think every week there was a new guy getting signed to the roster.
Yeah. So.
Uh-oh. What do you got?
Nothing. Okay. I follow the DEFCON warning system on Twitter. I don't know, something about the United States and North Korea or something. Not important. We got baseball.
I can't wait, man.
I love baseball so much.
Thursday, Dodgers, heavy favorites right now to repeat as World Series champs. It's kind of hard not to see them happening. Back-to-back champs has not happened since the 2000 season when the Yankees three-peated, coming off their big thing. And not a lot of times it's happened. 14 occasions. Although some of those were three-peats, I was just kind of going through, counting up quickly. So a few times. Most of the time, though, it's been the Yankees doing it. Now the Dodgers is the team out west. Has
Reds did it a couple times.
Right. I think
not many.
Not many there. But who are our favorites to win this World Series?
I mean, Dodgers, they picked up Bauer, too.
Yeah.
Trevor Bauer.
Now, who are your favorites from the AL and the NL? Then we'll decide to change.
AL, it's easy to go with the Dodgers. I'm probably going to go that route.
NL's Dodgers.
NL, I'm sorry.
But
yeah, you got them. You got the Padres, but I want to see how all this pitching comes together.
Don't count out, like you said, the Padres.
I love the Padres. Right now, they're actually in second.
Yeah.
In the MLB's power rankings, I'm like, ooh.
And
I like
Atlanta will lurk around there too. Mm-hmm. So
in the American League,
the Braves are always a good team.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they are.
Always.
The only reason I wasn't thinking Padres is only because they're in the same division as the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have a tougher road through the playoffs.
Yeah.
In terms of the American League, I like the White Sox, but I think Eloy Jimenez got injured for a couple weeks. So they're going to maybe start out slow, possibly.
But, we get the full 162-game slate.
They can make up for it.
There's plenty of time. It's going to be a normal season. You're going to see slumps. You're going to see down points. Your team is going to go up and down. You're not going to get a straight shot this season like you did last year.
Obviously in the American League,
you got the Rays. You got the Rays. You got the Yankees.
But I just want to see if the Rays can do it again.
Yeah.
Be that type of team where they can get back.
Yeah.
So give me your World Series game. Who is it?
I think it's too early to tell, but...
Well, it doesn't matter. That's why it's the way too early predictions. They're not supposed to be right.
I'm going to go Padres in the National League.
Ooh. I wanted to so bad. I already made my pick, but I'll say it after.
I don't want to go Dodgers Yankees. It's too obvious to do that.
Yeah.
I'll go Padres Yankees.
Okay.
I've got, Braves Rays.
Well, at first, I was kind of taking them myself. I was looking at all this, and I was like, man, I really like the Twins coming out of the AL.
Yeah, but remember how they are in the playoffs? They don't do anything in the playoffs.
I know. That's what I was like,
Don't forget about Oakland either.
Yeah.
They lost some... they lost Trevor... Or no, Simeon. I think he might have lost... Or who was it? I can't remember now.
Chapman?
No.
They still got Chapman. I don't know.
I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, man... Yankees and Dodgers, I think, are really just the favorites, and it's so hard to pick against them because you look at everything they have.
I just don't want to see it because they're the two big brands, and I don't like seeing the big guys in. I want to see.
I know.
That's why I pick.
But it's like we're talking about baseball. It's like it's so hard to see the same matchup 2 years ago in the World Series or 2 years in a row. I'm like getting Dodgers Yankees again. It's like it's so hard to see happening. So like. I think I was really leaning towards the Padres, but I just don't think they're going to get past the Dodgers. I definitely got Dodgers in the NL. That's my guaranteed pick.
Okay.
AL, I've got to go Yankees, but I don't want it. I don't want the Yankees, but I think it's going to be the Yankees.
I just picked absurd picks, so
I don't think Tampa's not going to go back again.
There was no one in the AL I really liked, and the Yankees are up there. They have all the pieces. They have the bullpen. Everything about them is a World Series team, and obviously, because they were there last year. They're a World Series caliber team, and it's so hard to not pick them when they have everything. They have all the money. It's like, obviously, we'll get halfway through the season, we're going to make our picks again, and it'll probably be the Dodgers and Yankees still 1 and 2. They'll still be 1 and 2 if I had to guess.
Probably. But you never know.
You never know.
Baseball's an odd game.
Hey, April Yankees are coming to Cleveland mid-April.
Yeah,
4-game series.
Indians opening day is 3 days away now as
Detroit.
well.
They play.
Everybody opened their Thursday.
They play Kansas. Yeah.
Their home opener.
Their home opener is April 5th against Kansas City.
I
think I saw Kansas City.
Potentially. What are you guys biggest matchups you're looking forward to seeing this season with your teams? Mike, obviously with the Pirates. What are you looking forward to seeing the matchup against?
I'm trying to remember the American League division they're playing this year. Oh, they're playing the Central, I think, again. Your guys' division.
Probably.
So probably the Cleveland-Pittsburgh matchup.
That'll probably be a nice one to see.
I like to see. I always look for the American League matchup because you only see them every couple years. But I'd like to see them with the White Sox. I don't know if it's home or away, but that's another one. National League teams. I mean, Dodgers coming into town. That's defending champs coming in.
Yeah, but you want to look at the teams you're going to win against.
They're not going to win many games, but
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I figured you're probably looking forward to the games you have a chance.
Well, I always when I'm looking at the schedule, I like to see teams that are coming in that, that obviously.
You want to see a good team every now and then when you turn on the game.
I just like seeing different teams.
I always like seeing the Battle of Ohio.
Yeah, the big
Reds,
rivalry.
The Reds and Indians.
It's probably one of the few series I actually watched during the regular season.
I have a shirt with Clevenger and Bauer on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many times I'll watch, a bunch of games or an entire series. I'll turn on a game for a few innings here and there. I don't necessarily sit down and watch the whole thing most of the time. I know you do. It's your thing, but it's more me with basketball. I'll sit down and watch all of it.
I sit down and watch every baseball game.
I do, and my team loses almost every game, and I still watch them.
The whole amount of it too.
But speaking of that, losing almost every game, I'm not expecting much out of the Pirates this year at all. They're going to lose. It's no secret they're going to lose a lot of games. But I just want to see the young guys because I think they have some nice young pieces that they're going to build around.
I don't have high expectations. One, for your team.
I don't at all.
Two, my Indians either. I don't think the Indians.
But the Pirates
I feel like right now behind in the division they're in the AL Central.
They're probably third at best.
It's a competitive division. I think they're third or fourth.
At best, they're third.
Right.
But the Pirates are in kind of same situation, not really, as the Indians. I mean, you guys are retooling. The Pirates are rebuilding, and they have a lot of young guys, and there are a lot of promising young guys. And I want to see how they are this year.
Right.
I like Eric Gonzalez on Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
he was in Cleveland. That's one of the guys that I wish we still had. Honestly,
that's what I'm excited about most this year. If you ask me what I am, if there is anything I'm excited about with my team, they have a lot of interesting prospects that I think are going to be good in the major leagues. That you're not going to see at the beginning because most of them aren't going to be on the opening day roster. But by the middle of the year, end of the year, I want to. They'll probably be up, and I just want to see their development. That's what I'm excited about. I know they're going to lose a lot of games, but that's going to be the most interesting thing.
What players are you excited for?
Obviously, keep Brian Hayes. They're already trying to extend him now. He's only played 30 games.
Oh, jeez.
So what about on the Indians? Any exciting players that you're like? I think besides Tristan McKenzie, because I think that's all who we're kind of looking at.
That's the guy. We're looking at newer players.
I'll say younger guys. Yeah.
Okay, I know.
Some of these young guys, even if they've already played a season or two, who are you looking at?
Obviously, I really like Zach Plesac. I know he's still younger. Yu Chang is going to be something. I truly believe that. I mean, they wouldn't have drafted him otherwise. I mean, they picked Lindor, so let's see. Who said they can't pick another guy?
I'm a big fan of my Karen Check, number 9.
Oh, yes.
The new wild thing in Cleveland. I love him. The Rosario's. Cesar Hernandez at second. I think he's an interesting guy to look at this year.
He will be.
To see if he can kind of move into that Kipnis-esque role and get on base a lot, bring in a lot of RBIs, because I feel like that's really what you need out of a second baseman. Obviously, every second baseman in the league can pretty much play second base to the best of their ability. Second base doesn't always require the most. You always get the flashy plays from shortstop. Mm-hmm. You don't need the strongest arm. Second basemen are power hitters who are better fielders than first basemen. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They got more athleticism than the first baseman. But Cesar Hernandez, I feel like if he can move into what kind of Kipnis was in that second base position and where you fall into the lineup, probably normally around 4, 5, 6, depending on what he's doing. I think that's interesting to look at.
A lot of people will, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say mad at the good lineup for the Indians, but hey, we got a good manager. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
We get Francona. I trust him. So whatever he puts out there, the lineup for whatever game, any game, I'm going to trust he's putting it out there so we can win. So
100%, yeah.
So Probably one of the best managers in baseball.
Right now, projected 2021 lineup has Cesar Hernandez going as the first guy off. So he'll take the Frankie Lindor spot. Yeah. That's second.
That's a dude.
Coming in 4, 5, 6, Franmil Reyes, Josh Naylor, and Jake Bowers. Bowers could be interesting coming out of the 6 hole. I think everyone's excited to see Roberto Perez at the catcher spot again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Obviously not a younger guy, but I think everyone's just excited to see him. I mean, he's got one of the best cannons coming out of the squad.
What, 2-time Golden Glove?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best defensive catchers there is.
Yeah.
And not just
and you know what?
We got to talk about Roberto Perez's arm.
Yeah.
He's got one of the best cannons to launch that thing to second.
It seems like Cleveland always has one of those best catchers in the game. Like they had Young Gomes. Young Gomes has fallen off.
That, I mean, go way back to Victor Martinez.
Yeah, Victor Martinez.
I loved Victor.
Oh, dude, he was my guy. I had a Scrappers jersey. I had the Indians jersey, shirts, posters, you name it.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for the show here, unless you guys got anything else you want to touch on before we head on out. Hour and a half, we promised you we'd keep it short. It's 3:30 for us. Matt and I got an hour, so we got to leave for our game, so that worked out perfectly for us. Make sure to check us out on YSN Live, too, on Wednesday when this goes live. We'll be calling a game. I think it's at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Cardinal Mooney softball down in the Field of Dreams.
That might
down
change,
in Boardman, potentially. Thank you all for tuning in this week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video on YouTube or wherever you're watching it. Do it. Make sure to check out our merchandise. It's in the bio of everything we do. Check it out there. Thank you all for tuning in this week. We'll see you next time.
We'll see ya.